Happy Sunday, everybody. This is Car Audio and Electronics, June of 1995. 8 sub boxes for big and small vehicles. Their latest breakthrough, 6 shitty speakers. Look at that. Dog ear goodness from Infinity. 1995. Now owned by Samsung. This is Altic Lansing. Coming out with their, I guess it's just a red version of Chinese stuff that's already available for everywhere. Iosca sound offs. And all those phone numbers. Wonder how many of these guys are still in business. They are for real. Aculine series tweeters for BG Corp. BG. Yeah, BG. They don't say the name. Where is it? Soundworks, Speakerworks, Anaheim, Exotic Car Audio. So I got what was it? We found, okay, so I used to import through DFS, and I forget Don's last name, but that's what DFS is Don something sales. And he did a lot of importing for a lot of other people. And one of the things that he imported was these tweeters, these planers for BG. And he had a shit ton of them. They were the same one that you can buy at Parts Express as well. And so I posted them on eBay, and it kind of sucked because, of course, BG got mad because they were like, ooh, you're selling our tweeters for way cheaper than they are. And these were like, they had been in storage and they had a little bit of surface rust on them and some other things. And that's one of the reasons why I had highly discounted them. And then what sucked was that there was a guy named Chris that had worked for a dyer and for Dan Wiggins. And back when I met him in like 06, and he was on Dan's team, and I met him there in Vegas. And years later, when I came across this deal and sold it out, Chris was the one that had to, I don't remember if it was email or on the phone, but he was like, I gotta, give you a trademark warning. And it really sucked because it was his job on the line, that if he didn't say that this is not a genuine BG planer, even though it was from the same source. So, but then they had to file some sort of, counterfeit item claim on eBay. I was like, okay, whatever. So now I learned to word my stuff better, which was like, it's a replacement for BG, that kind of stuff. So, but that sucked for Chris, but I understood his position. So, but that's a sad moment in Patrick's car audio history. Boss Light, it lights up. Cool feature. Wonder how much of Tony DeMori had to do with that. So, B52. Some boring ad from, who is this, JVC? Pioneer, same thing. This guy always creeped me out. Like, that's not the best picture. William Neal. Precision Power, Subwoofers, double din head units, and other wonders from CES, Mobile Electronics Show. Are you a woman with big hair? No false alarms for you. Thanks to Bulldog. And then rated #1 in basic performance. Because MTX is basic. Oh, that's funny. There you go. Larry Frederick, Phoenix Gold, all the shits and whistles. So I forgot to link. I got to go through which video I put. I mentioned Larry Frederick's interview with 12 volt talk team. And so it was really interesting to hear some of his stories about the kind of freedom that he had there at Phoenix Gold. So, but I'll post that in this one as well, and I'll go back and do some research. Also, if I am missing any links, like I mentioned it in the video, but I don't post it in the description, please let me know so that I can do a follow-up. Worth doing loud. Thundercast to Thunder Pro, knockoff of CV, and then Thundercast, which is a cast frame. Mac 10, Faux Life, hitting in June, produced by Ice Cube. Where'd that go? There you go. Blade Technologies, Class D, before anybody else. Subwoofers under the seat, Todd's before runner. Dancing Naked People, again on bass thrust amplifiers. Thrust, Autotech. Thrusting in your butthole. That's a bass hit. Evolution, Fabric. I don't know what that has. Kimberly Clark. Servo, also by Blade. And then this guy makes you want to sing Under the Bridge by the Chili Peppers, huh? I don't know if he does heroin. Let's see. What is this? Commander USA Incorporated. Some kind of cool looking amplifier. It's out of Miami. Whatever. Grenade. Alpine. Chiclets. Chiclet lights. Not so many chiclets. There you go. They actually had a really good Class D come out that was on AmpCut's website until Ant fucking made it private. Fucking dickhead. And it's the same board as the Diamond Audio D5 1200.1 by Pyramid. It was a big purple one. You open it up, same fucking board, same fucking everything. It's fucking great. And you know, you could get these used for like nothing. Like I think even new it was only like 140, 150 bucks. So used you could get it for like 80 bucks and it was like a good 1500 watt amp. Class D. There's Mike Manillo. There's that famous picture. The reason more I ask a guys own MB Court because MB Court pays you money. Ugh, so tired of this ad, even after what, fucking 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is. Sansui, there's a collector's item. And then Cliff Designs. I did like that they used glass fiber. I don't think this was carbon fiber, but glass fiber back in the day. For some reason, glass fiber seemed to be cheaper back then. So now it's kind of expensive. Wave Drive from Kicker, if I remember right. So, nope, MMATS. It's another cheapy, probably Eminence driver. Does it say made in the USA? What does it say? It says specifically designed for SPL. That is for SPL contest? Jesus. 6.5 inch. 300 watts. I don't know. It was 1995. Nakamichi 1000 gigabyte. Or 1 gigabyte, I should say. 1000 megabytes. 7 disc. Oh, I see. It's just a CD changer. I never got what that meant with the 18-bit and 1-bit and all this kind of stuff. I was like, huh? So, but, you know, it's not what they taught us in the Air Force about sampling. Sampling rate. Audio Link. You know what that really looks like is Audio Frog. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if Audio Frog used that same thing over again and reintroduced it to the market, and then you guys don't even know. Remember, Mr. Frazen told me about this. This is Sounds of a Tornado. Yes, I remembered. Pretty generic. 309. It looks like the Crossfire. The old Crossfires. Business major. Oh, yeah, that's where they're going to recruiting. Be all you can be in a shitty fucking army. Fuck the army. Fuck you guys. Fucking idiots. So many alcoholic drug addicts in the army. Jesus Christ. Phoenix Gold Sapphire series. Only $179 a pair. B52. Loudspeakers. There you go. Audio Logic. That's the name of the brand. So Audio Logic is a sister brand to Matrix, God, I forget who the parent company is. I have to do my research on that. I really want to do the family tree of car audio, and you know, when owners and companies get divorced, and you know, who they remarry and all that kind of stuff. That would be kind of a cool project. If you know somebody that has like a what's it, genealogy software, and we can make up a diagram, that would be kind of cool. So, smart amp. How smart is it for 1995? If anything, it was just copying the analog computer that was on the punch amps that Rockford had put in. Because I remember my buddy Dave Fenema, he was showing how his dad took a punch 100, and then put a pair of needle nose across the output terminals, and it would just sit there and think. It wouldn't blow up. So I thought that was interesting, and I don't know how true it was, because it was just hearsay. But and then the other one was using it as an arc welder. So, but Larry, God damn it, Larry F. was talking about how he had that on for Phoenix Gold too. You could typically what they would do is insert a 1K tone, because that's what it did its best at, and then you can sit there and use it like an arc welder. So just the protection, there was enough resistance where it wouldn't go into protect. So I always liked these ads, but I still thought at the time the amps were really expensive. And to me, they kind of have a cheap vibe to them. So it's like if they have a cheap vibe and they're expensive, like, So look at that. I think we went through this. Laser. Yeah, it was laser. I don't know. Maybe it's a double misprint. I don't know. Maybe it was laser. I think it's funny that Rockford's not even on there. So it was 1995. The Woofer Wizard. Gain control. Seems like one of those outboard ones that they have. It's like, this is like basically a Harrison Labs F mod with variable, and then that's just a pot. So, and then the whole thing's powered by plus and minus 15 volts, little onboard power supply, and then you could either plug it in with 12 volts or even plug it in with AC if you wanted, I guess. I don't know. That's what I would make. I mean, it's kind of a waste, but back then it was like a lot of these amps didn't come with crossovers, even though this one is just filled with crossovers. On her own. The Suzuki Sidekick. Look like focals. What's in here? What's in here? Lenny Wang. Nope, AVI. So this is some AVI woofers, which look generic as fuck. Some Phoenix Gold line driver shit. Tire care. That was one of the other things too, is Larry Frederick has that same attitude that I have, which is like, you know, if audio control makes this stupid device, we can make that stupid device too. And you just make it cool looking with a Phoenix Gold stuff on it, and it's the same fucking thing. So, and then now you can get one of those epicenter type deals from fucking Boss and SSL and Gravity and one of their other brands. So, but if you wanted the choice, you need the EPX2, which is a tiny. It's so dumb too, because it's like the amps already have built-in crossovers. So it's like, what are you using these for? But they sold them. The 456 and then the 223. I think we have these boards, and we might have some of the cases. I know we have the end plates. So again, I would love to have a website where we have all that stuff. What's funny though is, like, if I charge like $15 ship for that end plate, people get mad. I'm like, well, what should it cost when fucking shipping's $15? Giving it to you for free, fuckface. Like, well, if you're a collector, fucking collect. It's a brand new side piece. It's like all of a sudden, if your your equalizer is used and you put this new side piece on there, now it's new. It's never been mounted. I think that brings a lot of value. I don't know. That's just me. That was one of the reasons why I haven't really posted a lot of that stuff on forums or eBay or something like that. It's not popular. You know, a lot of people talk about that they want stuff, but what they really want is something worth a lot of money and they're not paying a lot of money for, right? Because there was this, I don't want to say it was famous, but there used to be this Jack in the Box ad where Jack is telling people, he goes, well, we did a lot of research across the country and we found out that people want really good food for free. Well, that's not going to happen. It's like, yeah, no shit. HQ. High quality from Kenwood. It's kind of weird. It's got a different paper. That better not be a whizzer. Again, same stuff. Not his fault. This is Richard Clark and David Navoni, the Autosound 2000 guys, making, you know, pretty good living doing ads. There was actually a couple of things I found wrong in they didn't really know what was wrong, and it's, you know, and usually what they do is they choose a letter or a problem that they know they can fix. Like, that's why a lawyer sometimes won't take your case, because he doesn't know if he can win. He only takes it if he knows he can win, right? And so then that's when they say, we have a 99.9% success rate, you know, because they only pick the cases they want to win. But some guy was in cold weather, and he was wondering why his speaker system, subwoofer system, was so quiet in the cold in the morning. And this guy Navoni started telling him all kinds of stuff about spraying the board with CO2 to find any cracks or anything. I'm like, what? What are you doing? Like, the air is just heavier in, you know, right now it's cold in most of the country, and the air just gets real heavy. And then on top of that, the suspension on your subwoofer gets really stiff. That's why there's not a lot of bass in the morning. So just so you know, if you really want to get some good bass, what you do is make sure you have vented enclosures, and then warm up the cabin in your car, like overheat it. Like leave it on, you know, let your car run and then leave the heater on high. So when you get in, it's nice and hot. And when you start moving the woofers, it then changes the air out in the enclosure to also be warm. So, and then of course, when you're driving, you can roll down the window or roll down all the windows and get all that hot air out, and then just enjoy it regular. So, but that's how you solve that problem. There you go, somebody's little cartoon. Good amps. Shitty terminals. You know, notice they don't show the pigtail on these. These had the harness and the pigtail. So they had the power wires coming straight out, and then had a pigtail Molex, which sucks. So, but other than that, though, these were good amps. Just kind of, you know, cheap, hard to use. Is it Pantone or Fantone? I don't know. Crank and power for thundering installations. Let's see. I think we're supposed to see side boob on that. There's not a lot of side boob. It's supposed to be a fat ass, but it's a white girl, so, you know. Exceed the limits. Pile driver. And then this is a goatsy. So you put your hands right there. This is the butthole. Oh, wait, no, that's the license plate. Oh, my bad. SoundQuest. Oh, see, and it looks like a chain, like a wrapper. There's more gold. Everybody loves gold. Need we say more? Bitches. The dealer in your area. Kurt Burchett works at a Honda factory, but this sound system is all his own. Good for Bert. And then he did like door panels, speakers in places. He did stuff. Zapco, there you go. Putting the fuses on the actual amplifier. Cool. And of course, it's good for about 800 watts, but then they rated it. Let's see what they rated it. Doesn't say. Designed by Robert Zeff. Now remember, a designer brand is just where, like the Olsen twins were a designer brand, right? So that means they go over to China or wherever they're exploiting the labor, and they lay out like 5 or 10 outfits, and then the Olsen twins would go, I like this one, this one, this one, this one. Can you do this one in pink? Good. Then we'll, you know, and then they take 10,000 of each one. That's what a designer is. A designer just makes design choices, not necessarily engineering. So that's why I don't mind calling myself an amp designer, because I can decide certain aspects of it without affecting the performance. So see how that works? So now designed by Robert Zeff is different than engineered by Robert Zeff, just so you know. And this one doesn't say, but it looks like it's a 4-channel. There it is. Let's see if we can get a close up. See, it's an 800 watt amp that they rate at 400 watts. See, there you go. So, but you can tell it's an 800 watt amp because it's got 240s on it. Marketing. And then they went Alpine. What is that? No, that's a PPI amp. They said Alpine, and then where the fuck is the Alpine? Polk Audio mid-range. Polk Audio mid-bass. Was it just the head unit? Jesus Christ. Oh, I see. JL, Alpine, and then the lightning bolts for... I see. Paying attention there, aren't you, Patrick? Paramount. That was good. I like these stuff. They were affordable, and they were probably made by Orion. Somebody like that. Imported by Orion. I don't know, something like that. Because they look a lot like the Hot Setup, is what that reminded me of. So it could just be Hot Setup. And then somebody like Larry Frederick will come in and go, oh, you need those? And then Larry would just contact the factory and go, okay, put this dust cap on it. And they go, oh, it's $500 to tool up the dust cap. And they go, okay. And then they go, put that same size dust cap on all of them. And you go, okay. Because they don't want to pay $1,500, right? For all three sizes, they just want to pay $500. This is still the Honda. He's got the little first aid kit. I always thought that was cute that guys would do that. Audio control EQX, Power 450, the W1s. Oh, even got a center channel. Cute. Brothers Keeper with a Chiclets amp or Alpine. And then get your free CDs for a penny. 9 CDs for $1. I don't know. What was it? Let's see. The old 3.5 with the straps. What is that? MB Court component. Let's see. Amps, Soundstream. That's different. Oh, it's Nakamichi, that's why. So Nakamichi would make the same bullshit, but they really spend a lot of time on the outside. Again, that's a designer trait. That's not an engineering trait. So, and again, that's what you can do is you just go, this is made by the same people, same factory. You just, whatever. Is this covered with condoms? Jesus. This is the middle of AIDS. We were so concerned about AIDS when I was a kid. Raw American horsepower. Look at that. Cover up that. MMATS 2050X, and it's like a little 200 watt amp that you could run at half an ohm or some bullshit. The finest power transfer system engineered for 12 volt audio. It's a pretty bold claim. I think his name is Dave. I forget. Yeah, I fucked it up. We're going to do a buyout of MMATS. So at the time, David at MMATS had, I think he was calling it quits as far as manufacturing in America, just because the labor is just expensive and people fuck shit up all the time. And it's easier to have it outsourced and then yell at China. And because when China fucks up, they have to take a big hit, but they're also making good money. So they don't, I don't want to say they don't mind taking a big hit, but they will, especially if you're a pretty demanding customer and you're sending them lots of money. So, but we had a whole bunch of those. I ordered a sample, which is like probably $200 or $300 worth of shit, just to get an idea of it. And I tried to sell the whole thing and I couldn't. And then what's his name? John over at AE. Is it AE Audio? Anyways, we were supposed to sell most of that inventory, and that was all the Juggernaut. There was like a really cool polished gunmetal finish, bunch of magnets, all the stuff to basically make the Juggernauts, but you had to assemble it yourself. And I think it was like 13 grand, and I didn't have it at the time. And so I went back probably a month later with John's money, and they had gotten rid of it, or they had sold it to somebody else. And I don't know. I think what he did was he changed his mind because it never showed up on the market. And so I tracked down who had some, or at least who had access to some. And then that guy, which I will still remain nameless, took my money. Just took my money. And that really sucked. And so then I ended up having to order frames from China. And then John got really mad and filed a thing with the attorney general saying, Patrick committed wire fraud. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I'm just waiting on your frames. And he's like, where are they? I'm like, well, they're on the water and they're on their way here. And so then when they got here, so I ended up, I think he only ordered like, I want to say like 80 frames. And so what I did was I ordered 100 from China, got them here, counted them, and then shipped them out to him. And so I fulfilled my end of the bargain. But then like later on, he complained that the opening was 3-inch when it should have been 4-inch. And I'm like, well, you didn't specify that. And then he's like, well, these aren't gunmetal. And I'm like, I told you what happened. You know, I got fucked. And so in order to keep my promise, I had to buy more from China because it was actually cheaper to give them new frames than it was to give them a refund. So, and I figured, why not make the best of it and order stuff for myself? So I did. So, but anyways, he was unhappy with the way that I handled it. So I was like, okay, well, you're not buying any more stuff from me. So anyways, Extant. Ooh, that's a really good ad. Looks like maybe the same artist. What's her name? Carol something or whatever. Maybe it's just a good knockoff. There's a lot of good artists here in Phoenix that could do that. Let's see, where is the address? Scottsdale. Yep. Again, I don't care about alarms from the 90s. This was funny. This was funny. I remember seeing this product, this ad. This is bullshit. So what happens when you use two different size ports is what happens is that you get an average. That's what happens. So if one port is like short, one port is long, and then even one port is big and one port is small, what you end up getting is an average because there's equal amounts of air pressure coming out at the same time. So it looks like this was just a bandpass. So, and then they just used whatever, it's tunable telescopic things, which is dumb too. So, but again, it's a gimmick. It's from Maxbox out of Pine Beach, New Jersey, Max Motion Incorporated. And then they used a P.O. box, which means it's some dude living in his basement and he came up with his idea and then he imports it. And then typically what you do is you have somebody warehouse it somewhere, probably in New Jersey, and then you just ship it out. So Car Audio 95 Directory. So again, this is a dumb idea. Don't do this. So it's a gimmick and it's shitty in the first place. So this was actually a really good tweeter. This was, I think, very similar to the ADS tweeter. And I think they did the same thing, which is where they added plates of steel or a chunk of steel to the tweeter in order to make it feel heavier, even though it was really, really light. So, but, you know, the old thing about, there's like these old dumb things that people in audio, like they'll tap on the woofer, and if it plays low, then you know it's good. And then if you pick up a receiver and it's really heavy, then that means it's good. And it's just a bunch of dumb stoner shit. You know, some burner guy that lives in his mom's basement and thinks he's fucking Einstein for collecting rare car audio or rare home audio, and he's just a burner. Before there were video games. See, this stuff looks really generic and cheap now, you know, but by that time, this was the shit. There you go. That's a different, it's basically the bass pump. There's bass pump, and then who is this? This is Linear Power's version of that. The problem is you get some weird compression going on through here. Maybe this is just an isobaric. I don't know. What is this? No, it's a bass vent. So the bass comes out of here, and then the rest of this is free air. So, or you could put this in a box. That's the other way to do it. But again, this needs to be big enough, otherwise you get a bandpass effect, and you don't want that. It's a weird compressor, and you get chuffing and all that other stuff. So, not really anything in there. Streetwires. Streetwires was acquired by who was it? Mytech, or maybe it was Mytech's invention. I would love to know if anybody knows. Let's see what. Aperiodic woofer systems. This is good. So let's see. Get some no glare. Another way in which you can enjoy bass without taking up a lot of space. Basically, what aperiodic is free air, but you put a fiberglass mat, like just basically like some R13, and you squeeze it together. And so what it ends up having is a resistive load. And so it gives the woofer some, I don't want to say natural resistance, but it gives the resistance as if it's in a enclosure, but the side that's free, that's exposed, goes into the cabin. So that's how that works. because you don't want the other side, the matted side, to go into the cabin. You want the other side. So it's just a way to trick the woofer into playing bass. So been there, done that, heard it. Who's that heard it? MB Court. And they set a new standard where the lands are. And then Gary Cove is like, peace, and then sells this to Pyramid and then goes and starts Cove Audio. So I think right around that time too. I think it was later in 97, if I remember right. Money, money, money. Youth, youth, youth. There you go. He's not a child molester at all. Wildlife. So you girls like junior high? You want to ride? Oh, that's hilarious. So there was this one time where I was, where we used to live over on Dobson in West Mesa. It's just north of the border of Chandler. And there's a junior high buried over in the neighborhood. And I was coming up and there was these junior high kids walking across the street. And the last one was a short little black girl that she had some really big tits. And she starts running across the street. And of course, that's all I'm looking at is these big floppy tits. And then I realize, I'm like, you shouldn't stare at her, Patrick. And then so I look at her face. She's got Down syndrome too. So now I'm looking at Down syndrome, big floppy titties on a junior high student. So it's not as bad as well, of course, nobody was there to ridicule me. But I thought it was a funny story. And then I think only like a week later, we were going to the airport to greet one of my nieces from maybe that was later. I can't remember now. Anyways, we were there at Sky Harbor and you can't, of course, this was after 9/11. So you couldn't go to the gate. And so we were waiting for it outside. And then there was this, these two dirts, we call them dirts. And that's where David Spade is from, Phoenix. And what we used to call people that were like rockers and, weed smokers and had Metallica patches on their Levi's, they call them dirt heads because they were kind of dirty. And they, they had that big hair and everything like that. So that's where Joe Dirt comes from, is that we used to call these people dirts. And so anyways, so these two dirts, the guys, got some sort of whatever band shirt on and things like that. And then his girlfriend that was with him was in a wheelchair and she had her Iron Maiden shirt. And then she had torn off the collar. So it was like exposed and she had a nice rack. And of course I was looking and she catches me looking and her boyfriend is alerted by her that I'm looking. And the boyfriend's like, hey man, never seen a girl in a wheelchair? And I was like, I'm looking at her. Of course I didn't verbalize this. I just looked away, but in my head, I'm like, I'm looking at her tits. I'm not looking at the wheelchair. Like, I don't give a fuck about the wheelchair. I still want to shoot a load on her tits. Nasty, dirty old man. I'm a dirty old man. So, and of course I told that joke or story in stand-up one time. And I think my niece heard about it and she got all offended. I'm like, you weren't even there yet. We were still waiting on you getting off the plane. Like, why are you so worried about me staring at some tits? That's what guys do. Who was that? There was some TV show that was talking about how when they say never meet your heroes, and they ended up some kid and his mom met Evel Knievel, and of course he goes up and says, "Will you sign my thing or whatever?" And Evel Knievel's like, "Yeah," and he starts staring at his mom, checking her out, looking at her tits, and of course he wanted to make sure that Evel Knievel was still a cool guy and not some just lecherous piece of shit staring at his mom's tits. But you know what? When you got all these sperms, you want to find a home for them. There you go. Rockford Fosgate provides you straps to strap down your tube. Ha ha ha, you get your tubes tied. So, but anyways, I'm not any more different than any other guy. That's the sounds of a tornado. Soat car performance for the storm. And if you notice, that's all you have to do with a car audio brand is you just take everything that already exists and then you just make a theme out of it. I'm surprised nobody's done a gay theme yet. So I would really like, you've seen like, what's his name? Little Nas X has done with, I guess it would be called Gay Culture. And he's a huge success, you know, with the shoes and all that stuff. I mean, that's really where the money's at, is the merchandising. And so I'm surprised nobody's done a gay, because, you know, dudes are dudes. Even if they're gay dudes, they still like bass. So, but, you know, that's not a very macho thing. And that's really what is, you know, this culture is based on, is macho. See, tough, cool, lightning, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, it's so tough, it's breaking stone. And it's made for like little, you know, the ideals of 8-year-olds and their ideas of what cool is. And, you know, a lot of guys get stuck in that. SPL 160, they weren't that great. It wasn't that great of a subwoofer. I don't know why they called it 160, because I don't think they ever hit 160. So there's Marky Mark, his braces. I love these ads though. Really good work on the ads. Very memorable. Stupid Earthquake bandpass. There you go. There's the Air Candy. Famous ad. And then they also gave Ice-T some money to do ads for them. So that was used to be a thing. You know what's funny too is, of course, this is called Air Candy. And there's a local guy named Oscar Maldonado who runs a brand. I don't think it's technically incorporated or anything like that, but he goes by the name of Mr. Music Man, or True Music Man on, I think, Instagram or whatever. I'll put some links to it. And he calls this stuff Air Candy. And I said, you know, you might not want to do that, because Linear Power's been doing that since the 90s at least. You know, that's where this ad is. And he's like, I don't care. And I was like, okay. So good for you, Oscar. So Oscar is basically the Arizona version of Power Hog, where it's just one dude and he bought a bunch of stuff from China and he puts his brand on it. And so PNR ports. Who is this? Doesn't say, but it has a 602 number, because I know they were here in Arizona. But this company was outsourced by one other dude. I want to say Tim Kelly. That for some reason that name comes to mind. But they also, whoever did this, also did the laminates and the sound deadener. And they tried to do it with Lightning Audio. They were semi-successful. And then when Rockford bought them, they did it with Rockford too, under their, it was after Perfect Interface. No, maybe it was Perfect Interface. I don't remember. Oh, Connecting Punch. Yeah, it was there was that Connecting Punch, I think, was their second or third time trying to do accessories. So, but again, I don't know what it is. Rockford just kept fucking it up. So I love these amps. I use these at home. I used those at home. They were great little amps. They were clean. I would just hook them up to a battery and a battery charger at home. It worked fucking great. Kept them for many, many years, and then flipped them, and you know, it was great. They're collector's items now. So again, they just had a little, I don't even think this was, I think this was just like 2 LEDs, and then they used a piece of plastic to stretch it. So that way you didn't have to pay for so many LEDs. LEDs were really expensive back then too, by the way. So like $1 each, which is a lot for an LED. So Ultimate Power, this is the Stroker. Again, this is just a glorified heavy duty PA sub, so that it had like, let's see if they show that. Up to 1600 watt continuous. Doesn't really tell you what. Doesn't have the specs, but they had a really high sensitivity, and a lot of guys used to go for that. And again, you have to look at sensitivity numbers and at what frequency is it sensitive about. And then you go, okay, let's say it's 100 dB sensitive at 30 hertz. Okay, how much excursion are you going to get? Oh, none. Then what good is it? And that's why the subs that really perform well, something like a Sundown Nightshade, right, or a Sundown ZV5 or ZV6, they have a really long coil, a really beefy motor, and they have lots of stroke, and you can hammer on them because they got that big motor to push back against the amplifier. So that's really what gets you. And then, you know, they have a very heavy MMS. Nobody looks at their sensitivity numbers. I wouldn't even be surprised if they didn't even list them, because they were so low, like probably 83, 82 dB per, you know. But again, you can send, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5K, 8K, whatever to them, and they seem to handle it. So it's like, that's what you're looking for. Now, by the way, Sundown isn't the only game in town that can do that. So there's like Resilient Sounds, and then there's who else? Everybody else that buys their stuff from China, just like Jacob does. So Jacob buys all of his stuff from China now. Some stuff is still made here, but typically it's only the Recones and the high-end drivers. That's it. The rest of them get the sticker that says assembled in USA, or it doesn't get the assembled in USA at all. Sometimes it gets like QC'd in USA or whatever. So again, he cannot keep up with demand. And so it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just that you would hope that he would give back a little bit of money or make it a little cheaper or something like that. Maybe he does. I've never tried to buy a woofer from him retail. I wouldn't dare buy a woofer retail. God, are you kidding me? It's the dumbest thing in the world. But that's why I learned to make speakers myself, because it was just too fucking expensive. You guys have seen this ad before. And then here's the Autosound 2000 tech briefs. So, and for a while, Lightning Audio, this was in 99 that I worked there. They would sell the manual with all the briefs in it. So, and I would love to have a copy of it, but really the whole thing needs to be edited and condensed and turned into something that looks like the loudspeaker cookbook. And I would love to, if somebody would contact these two guys, Richard Clark and David Novoni, to see if they have a version of that. They may or may not. So a lot of the information they have is still relative and is really fun reading. But the problem is it's very technical. It's very in-depth. And a lot of you guys cannot absorb that kind of technical material. It's just beyond your scope, or it's very intimidating. And I understand. So like I said, it took me 18 months to get through the loudspeaker cookbook. And then even after I got through it and I understood every page and I understood every graph and I understood what they were trying to say and describe, it still took many years to absorb how that's applied, what that applies to and when. And that was a very difficult thing to understand. So, and then only in the past 10 years did I really understand what teal small parameters are telling you. So, and you really have to just study it on your own and understand it on your own. You want to stay off the forums because they're full of lots of misleading wives' tales and just kind of bullshit that people use or think they're using in order to solve problems. And they really don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So anybody with any real game typically works for a company, like a corporation, and they're very sparingly handing out that information because they feel like that's hard-earned and it's something that becomes an asset for them. You know, like when you order a kicker woofer and then you say, well, what kind of box does it have? And the guy makes his recommendation and you try to get a little tech support over the phone, basically what people call me for. And you got to just learn. You got to learn and make yourself learn that stuff. And I know a lot of guys have a hard time with college level reading material and things like that. And me too. I thought I was dyslexic in the Air Force until I got tested. But it's just a resistance that you have. And that's why one of the reasons why I do these videos is not necessarily to explain the technology, but to inspire you to satisfy that in your life. And you can do that with all kinds of things. I mean, look at what Elon did with rockets. He didn't know shit about rockets, and then he taught himself about rockets. So, but there's the mod from Kicker. Those were cute. Those are collector's items too. But what's really great too is the Autosound 2000 guys had, let's see, in the Grand National, I don't think they had Rockford amps. Or no, they did. Or shit, I don't remember. Well, what they did was they took the X cards, which is basically Rockford's passive version. This is an active version that probably uses, let's see, 1, 2, left, right, in, out. So this is a passive version, not an active version. At least it looks like it, but it's got op amps on it. So I don't know, maybe it's got power from somewhere. But the Rockford ones are passive, meaning it's just like an F mod. And it uses basically like an inductor and a capacitor in a 12 dB format. So it's just like a passive crossover, but it's on the line level, signal level. So it doesn't need to be big or anything like that. And one of the cool things that the Autosound 2000 guys did was they sometimes would modify that or put a Zobel in there to help do the modifications on what they think the amp needed. And it's a very cheap way. Instead of buying this elaborate crossover or something that's made for that application, you just solder a couple items on there. Now, it makes the circuit board look ugly and kind of weird. But I think that was Eric Holdaway. Yeah. So if you guys can contact him and see if he'll post some pictures of some mods that he did on one, that would be great. So, but there was something different that they did on that version for the aperiodic applications that they had for the Grand National. If I remember right, that was an article that I read a long, long time ago, and I just remember that little detail about that. Lo-fi. This is where the Liz Fair, Mudhoney, all the reviews. Boy, talk about a good job as to be a music reviewer guy. And then, of course, all the bass CDs that gets you the bass vagina, the bass butthole. There's more bass vagina. Let's see, Ass Ponies, Ween, John Spencer Blues Explosion. Never heard of the Ass Ponies, but that's cute. Number one, so far ahead, nobody comes close, really. Really? Cardium Electronics, really? I don't know, maybe they have a bunch more subscribers. The Bums, Brothers Unto Madness. They didn't really go anywhere. Morphine, Suddenly Tammy. There you go. And we're going to explain. RT was interesting too. RT, if I remember right, was out of, I want to say Washington or Oregon, if I remember right, because I tried to order stuff from them one time and the minimum order quantity was too much for me, and I ended up having to order from somebody else. But they would have prisoners, former inmates get out, and they were located at near a sawmill, and so their transportation costs were really low, for acquisition and stuff like that of the materials. And then they would have the former inmates work, as sort of a halfway house type of job until they could get on their feet and get more stable and realize you're not in jail anymore. You don't have to shank somebody over some lemonade. So, but yeah, these were American made with American wood products, at least at that time. This was in the mid to late 90s. And interesting way to get around keeping the price down for enclosures than just buying from China. But in the end, buying from China is better because you can get the top quality MDF, you can get the top quality seams and work and carpeting and everything like that, and it's still cheaper than it is here. Even with the tariff, if there's a tariff on that. And, whatever. Nobody here wants to build enclosures anyway, and that's why there's a big jump between what's prefab versus, custom. Is custom better? Sure, but it's, 10 times the price. When you're talking about like a simple box that costs $40 off of Amazon versus $400, what's funny is the only thing that really makes a custom box better is that it's larger. That's it. Is it stronger? Yes, and that's because you're using higher pressure woofers. But other than that, the custom box is not inherently better. In fact, we've had a lot of great success using a prefab, and then we just reinforce them. Boy, what a good idea. Yeah, it is. That's like, what's the name? Grandma's Boy. Those are the only ideas I have. So, I love that movie, by the way. Best scene that I've ever seen Jonah Hill have. So it was the Captain Crunch scene. But yeah, the guys that used to help me out, that's a really cool bandpass. Again, and it's an isobaric bandpass. Ooh, even fancier. That means it needs no enclosure space. But the guys used to make fun of me. Who was it? Ben Jones, and then, I forgot the other guy's name. He liked pit bulls and had a hot girlfriend. But they used to make fun of me, and I couldn't figure out why. And because I would be in there doing emails and postings and things like that, and I'd be listening to my weirdo techno music, EDM shit before it was called EDM, and they're like, "Dude, you really got to see Grandma's Boy." And I'm like, "What is this fucking movie you talking about with the Grandma's Boy?" And of course, the guy on there, JP, that's who they said I was, because there are a lot of aspects that JP displays that I also display. So I thought it was right on, by the way. So, but I was not into the Matrix. I'm not going to have robot ears. I'm going to have robot legs, but not robot ears. So Impulse was their entry level before the C series, the Comp, where all of their speakers, except for the Q series and the Solo X, are called Comp. So it's Comp VR, Comp R, Comp V, Comp C. I think there's even a Comp S. It's so funny. Everything's competition with Kicker. Good specs. Just a lot of technical information. It's useful frequency response specs. Yeah. Again, I don't want to get into technical stuff with you guys because it's sometimes when I tell you guys technical stuff, you don't know what it means and you don't know how to reference it. You don't know what it's referenced to. So a lot of guys will take the liberty of listening to shitheads on the forum, and then it's like, it's like I gave you a bag of sugar to make a cake, and then you add sardines to it. And I'm like, I didn't say sardines. They go, well, the guys on the forum said to add sardines. And I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, how does that make sense? And I don't know. You just told me. And so, and then I get in arguments with people, and I'm like, nice titties. It's a good titty shot. Gee, that makes me want to buy Targa. So it looks like maybe, I wonder if they had the patent, Alpine had the patent on the, specifically green, but I remember the Alpines used to be switchable too, at least to amber and green. And I think some of them later had the red as well, which was kind of cool. So, but I wonder if the Alpine had like a trademark or a patent on those little glowing buttons. That would have been cool if somebody else did it. Like well, now you can see knockoffs of that shit from China where it's a straight knockoff and it looks exactly or very close to like an Alpine, and it's just a little MP3 player. So, but chasing after people in China that make knockoffs is again like chasing a fart in a dust storm. It's futile. So, again, really good amp. Just a lot of people didn't like them. And again, this is another designer brand, Urban Audio Works. They would just get whatever amp is available in China that also Targa and Sote and all these other brands were using, and then they go, okay, make it purple. That was it. So there was another brand too that did purple and gold, which was Audio Gods, if I remember right. I haven't seen any of their ads. So there you go. The rat, which represents you, which is the gross guy that has money, and this is the prostitute that is willing to show her boobies for your money. So, and you can afford her because you're buying Urban Audio Works and saving your hard-earned money, but you can still afford the prostitute. So that's where Urban Audio Works comes in. And again, they didn't make anything. They don't make anything. And then as you saw, these woofers were actually made by Concept. So that's why I have purple cones and I have the Urban Audio Works dust cap and I have the frames and everything. So if you want me to make you one, I can. So just so you know. Or if you want to make them, that's fine too. And then Legacy. Oh my God, I love these amps. I had one of these up until about 3 years ago running the bass, and this is the 4-channel version. And then I had half running, that's what I have running the 18 now, which is I have half of it running one voice coil and then the other half running another voice coil. And dude, it ran great. It's a great amp, but this one didn't have any crossover. It had gain, and then this was bass and treble. So you had to add a crossover on the outside. So not the worst thing, but dude, these were only like $89 new from, there's only one place that carried Pyramid, and it was over there on, was it Apache? Yeah, it was right when you got into Tempe, because when you're in Mesa, it's called Main Street, and then when you get into Tempe, it's called Apache Boulevard. So, but anyways, and I forget, the guy ended up working for somebody else. I tried to do some deals with him, and he got a little picky on me, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't want to do deals with you anymore. He was that guy. Sanyo. House for sale. Owner bought Sanyo CD player and refuses to leave his car. I don't know. Whatever. Just put a naked chick on there, dude. Fucking, it's okay. It's okay. That's what guys like. So that's it, guys. Car Audio and Electronics, June of 1995. Thank you for watching. I love you. I will talk to you later.